Sometime before the end of this week, the Senate is expected to approve another $2 billion for the Cash for Clunkers program. And if the Senate okays those funds, as the House did last week, it will reconfirm that little has changed in the budget debate. At least that's the takeaway from our next guest. He is Stan Collender. He's worked on the House and Senate budget committees and is currently a managing director for Qorvis Communications, working with financial firms. Stan, did I get your firm right?
Yes, you did. Nice job.
All right, good. And it's great to have you back with us. So what? Nothing's changed here?
Well, here's the big thing. Earlier in the week, there were polls released showing that everybody wanted the deficit reduced, bipartisan, both parties. And then a day or two later, when it looked like Cash for Clunkers was going to run out of money, everybody said we got to add more money, and that's Republicans and Democrats. So nothing much has changed. As long as you think you're going to personally benefit, it looks like higher deficits are fine. If it's someone else benefits, they're not good.
Problematic in your view?
Well, it says that the budget debate, in spite of all the strum and durm that's happened this year, the budget debate hasn't changed very much. And it does raise questions about the ability to lower the deficit, as some people say we need to in the future. But, you know, and so nothing much has changed is what it comes down to.
Does the government, though, Stan, have really any other choice? You know, the economy, while everybody says less bad is good, it's still pretty bad out there. And we'll get that confirmation when we get that monthly jobs report on Friday. Still a lot of people out of work. Doesn't the government need to be spending on these programs to kind of kickstart, jumpstart the economy here?
Well, that's not just a great question, but it's a point that I wish more people would understand. With the Federal Reserve not being able to do too much more in monetary policy and consumers and businesses not yet being able to spend or willing to spend, there's only one more tool that we have, one more arrow in the quiver, and that's fiscal policy. That is the budget. So at this current moment, running a big deficit, $1.8 trillion or so, is the precisely correct fiscal policy. The real question will come when the economy gets better. What do you do then?
Right. Well, what do you do then at that point? I mean, do you have a lot of assurances out there that, yep, we'll have a big deficit, but the economy will be getting back on track and we can manage it and we can bring it down maybe rather fast?
Well, I mean, first of all, you've got validation from the bond market with the interest rates you just cited. The concern about inflation, or at least immediate higher interest rates, is not there. And that's an important validation. Second, because we won't be repeating stimulus and bailouts, at least hopefully not, because the economy is expected to pick up, the deficit next year, that is 2010, should fall by $500 or $600 billion compared to what it's going to be this year. Then in 2011, when we really need to start making progress on the deficit, you'll have some of the Bush tax cuts expire. Revenues come in. Iraq and Afghanistan, if they're not replaced by other military problems, that spending will fall. So I'm expecting that a pretty steady deficit reduction effort to about $500 or $600 billion by 2013.
So is your bottom line here, Stan, you know, that we shouldn't worry about the deficit at this point? Maybe it's great for politicians to talk. It plays well with voters. But that's not really the thing we need to be concerned about. What we need to be concerned about is, you know, getting the economy really, really growing here at this point.
Well, no, that's precisely right. The most important thing right now is to get the recovery underway and make it unambiguous. That is, we're not going to fall backwards after it happens. Once we have unambiguous signs, we have to start dealing with the deficit, because then it will be the wrong fiscal policy. All
right, let me just ask you, let's throw health care. We've talked about Cash for Clunkers, the impact on that, but what about health care? I mean, should we not be playing with this at this point, or can we afford not to? Don't worry again about the deficit, but we've got to take care of health care.
Well, I mean, there are two different issues here. Medicare is going to go belly up in 2017 under current forecasts. So that's something we have to start dealing with sooner rather than later, and it's a long debate. It has to happen now. The other issue, the other major issue on health care, obviously, is the people who aren't covered by health insurance that you and I are paying for every time they go into an emergency room, and paying ridiculous rates. You put all that together, and health care becomes important both in solving Medicare and Medicaid, and dealing with these other issues, reforming the system, et cetera.
Right.
At the moment, I'm going to give the president the benefit of the doubt. He tells me it's not going to cost any more than what we're currently paying. So if that's the case, the budget effort is neutral.
All right, got it. Stan, thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Stan Collender, everybody, from Qorvis Communications.